In this video, we are going to talk about the Python data types. So, data types are basically very much important for any types of programming language because data type is the thing which you can use to code. You can just declare whether something is string or numbers, etc. only when you know what are the data is present in the particular programming language. So now let us deep dive into the our topic. The first thing that we will be studying is that what are the basic data types in Python. So basically, Python actually offers quite a lot of data types. Mostly Boolean, numeric, sequence type, and the dictionary is present. Some advanced form of data types is also present, obviously, but we'll be talking about this later on. And these are only the classes of the data types, and there are subclasses of these data types too. For example, in the sequence data type, we have the list, tuples, etc. We'll be discussing about them later on. We can use the type method to know about the data type. So whenever we are stuck at any point and we do not know what is the data type of the particular variable, we can actually use the type method to know about the data type of the variable. So we would be using this to check out all the data types whatever we are going to use in this video. So now let us code something first. So I would be creating one file known as the video 2. You can just name file anything as per your choice, but make sure that you have the .py file extension. Okay, first let me just demonstrate how you can use the type. It is quite simple. For example, you want to check the data type of the hello world program, hello world. So just you need to do something like this one. What we have done is that we have printed hello world, but instead of printing hello world, we have just uh, um, used the type method, and in this method we have passed the argument hello world, and see what is the result. You can see we have got the class str, which means it is a string data type. We'll be talking about this later on also. So now let us deep dive into the different data types in Python which are available to us. The first one is the Boolean data type. We can actually have only two types of value in the Boolean data type. The first is the Boolean true, which we can represent as true. Second one is the Boolean false, which we can represent as Boolean false. So how we can just use it? For example, we can just write print true, and this is the boolean true. But how you will know that this is the boolean data type and this is not a string? For example, if you just print like this also, even both the results are same. How you will know? It's quite simple. Just wrap it up in the type method, and you can see the first one is the boolean data type, and the second one is the string data type. Moving forward, and why this is used, this has a lot of usage. To build different types of logic, we use the boolean true or the boolean false. Next is the numeric data type, which is basically used for dealing with the numbers in the Python. As we know, the programming languages mainly deal with the numbers and the strings. The numbers are very much important because we deal with different types of data which basically belongs to the numbers. For example, the salary of the employees, in which class a particular student reads in, etc. These are all represented with the help of the numbers only. First one is the integers. In Python, the integers are the numbers without any decimal parts. For example, you can say that 1, 5, 67, etc. are all the integers. But we cannot say that 3.7 or minus 8.9, these are actually not integers. Yeah, in the integers category, 0 is also present, and negative integers are also there. Like for example, minus 95 is also an integer, because although it is negative, but obviously it is an integer. But we cannot have any decimal places, like minus point 0.7 is there, point 0.9 is there. This is not acceptable. How we can use this? Like for example, we can just print any of this, like print 5, and just we can see that. Yeah, 5 is printed, and obviously we can print the type of this data. By default it would be the integer data type. So if we just print, and you can see that it has the data type of integer. Operations we would be learning later on in other videos. Now this is the float data type. The float is a 32-bit floating point number, and it is basically stored as a 4 bytes of memory, for example. So for any types of decimal numbers are usually represented in the float type in Python. Usually the float type is pretty much enough to represent any number. For example, 6.8, 7.0 etc are actually the floating point numbers. We can also add negative numbers to this. For example, if we just print 7.9, and if you want to check the type, for example 7.0, you just want to check the type, you will see that this is the class of float. Okay, class of float means that it is a float data type in Python. Next is the double. The double is a 64-bit floating point numbers. It is actually slightly more precise than float. We will be talking about this later on, because we actually need special modules like decimals etc. to perform the operations. Normally float is actually enough for performing any operations in Python. Next is the complex number. We actually know about the complex number, what this number basically states. The complex number actually basically contains the real part as well as the imaginary part. Yeah. In mathematics, what we usually do is that complex numbers are represented as imaginary part plus I into, sorry, real part plus I into imaginary part. Okay, but in Python, what we usually do is that we just, instead of the I, we actually represent this as the j. Why this is so? Because mostly in the circuital system we already use the I. So programmers thought that maybe j would be a better choice, and that's why we actually represent this as j. So we can use this like in this fashion: print 5 plus j2, sorry, not j2, 5 plus 2j. So this should be an complex number. You just also can print the type of this, and when you just print the type, you can see that this is a complex data type in Python. Next is the sequence type. Um, so in the sequence also there are lots of part, and there is the string, there is the list, as well as there are the tuples. The strings are basically the arrays of bytes. You can also view them as the sequence of characters. Basically, you just whatever you just wrap up in the quotes, these are basically strings. For example, so you can just say that name is equals to um, mm, Dinesh, and just you can print this type type of name, and you can observe that this is a string data type. Anything that you wrap up in this quotes, and they are actually considered as the string data type. There are lots of operations which you can perform in the string, but we would be talking about this in the later videos. Next is the Python lists, which are actually enclosed within the uh, this uh, close and the open brackets. This is also known as the third bracket. So whatever you just wrap up in this, and these are the list of comma separated values. So for example, if you just say that one 14 comma 45. So this is a list. So basically this is the sequence of items which are separated by commas, and they are enclosed by this third bracket. If you just print the type of this variable, then you will observe that this is a list data type in Python. Again, there are lots of operations which we can perform in the list, but we will be talking about in the later videos. The next is the tuple data type, and it is actually similar to that of the list. Only difference is that these are values are separated as commas, obviously, but the values are enclosed within parentheses. For example, we can just say 3 comma 7, and we can just print type of t, and we can say, see that this is the tuple data type. One interesting thing I would be like to show, that for example, if you just wrap up like this one, for example 5, and you just want to check the data type of y here, you will just see that this is a simply integer, see integer. But the moment you just put a comma over there at the last, observe that this actually now becomes tuple. So the thing is that when for any value to be a tuple within the parenthesis, you just need to add the comma after it. And whenever you just adding comma, then you will obviously get the tuple. And obviously this is not that you just only need to uh, pass the integer data types inside the tuples of the list only. You can just take anything, for example, in name, value. Just I have just taken the data as a string inside the tuples, and see, this is the class is still tuple. Why this is not a string? Because these are the strings obviously, but these are enclosed within the tuples, and that is why the entire value is in the as a form of tuple. The next is the dictionary. Dictionaries are basically very much important. These are basically key value pairs. There should be one key. So basically this is in this form key, and then we should be having the value. So for example, we can say that, for example, name, and name is the his name is, let's say, Ramesh. Okay, and if we just this is the key, and this is the value. Also we can just also add anything like this one, class. Okay. No, one thing that should be noted is that the key should be any immutable data type, and the value can be anything, whether immutable or mutable data type. You can just add string, you can just add tuple, anything. But only the restriction is that the key should be immutable data type. I will be talking about this later on in the other videos. If you just print the data type of the and this variable, you just observe that it is a dictionary data type. So that's all for today. We'll be discussing more about this stuffs later on.